In today's video, we're diving into something that'll blow your mind. Can you actually lose your US citizenship? I'm talking about everything from walking away voluntarily to the government forcibly taking it from you. We're breaking down every legal pathway that could strip away your status. And trust me, this could happen way faster than you ever imagined. What's up, everyone? John here from Dream Visa Updates, where we cut through the noise and bring you the real facts about borders, citizenship, and the laws that literally shape our lives. This information right here, absolutely critical. So let's jump right in. And hey, if you find this valuable, smash that subscribe button, drop a like, share this with someone who needs to see it, and drop your thoughts in the comments. It costs you absolutely nothing, but it means everything to us. All right, so today we're tackling something that most people, whether you're a citizen or an immigrant, just never think about. But you absolutely should be thinking about this. Here's what most Americans believe. Once you become a US citizen, boom, you're set for life. It's permanent, it's locked in, it's untouchable. You've got that passport in your hand, you've got voting rights, all the legal protections imaginable. Game over, right? Dead wrong. Here's the reality that nobody talks about. Citizenship in the United States, whether you were born here or naturalized, yeah, it's powerful, but bulletproof? Not even close. There are legal mechanisms happening right now, active government processes, real cases unfolding as we speak, that prove beyond any doubt your US citizenship can be taken away, gone. Just like that. In this video, I'm going to unpack the entire complex legal framework for you. We're going to share some absolutely jaw-dropping real-life examples that'll make your head spin, and I'm going to walk you through this quiet but very real government system responsible for something called denaturalization. Yeah, that's a thing, so before you sit back and assume that US passport guarantees you lifelong protection, stick with me until the very end of this video, because what you're about to learn might just change everything you thought you knew. Let's start with the absolute basics here. Who exactly is a US citizen? There are two main categories you need to understand. First, citizens by birth. These are people born on US soil, and that includes territories like Puerto Rico, Guam, the US Virgin Islands, or people born abroad to at least one American parent. Second category, naturalized citizens. These are folks who weren't born American, but went through the entire immigration and naturalization process to earn their citizenship. Now, both groups, they enjoy full rights under the Constitution. They can vote, they hold a US passport, they receive federal benefits. But here's where it gets really interesting, and this is the critical distinction you need to understand. When it comes to the government taking citizenship away, they view these two groups very, very differently. Natural-born citizens, they're almost always protected under the 14th Amendment unless their citizenship was obtained through fraud. But naturalized citizens, their status is the result of a legal process, which means it can be legally reversed if that process was compromised. That's a huge difference. Let's start with the easiest way to lose your citizenship, voluntary renunciation. Now, this is a formal, official process. You can't just tweet about it or fire off an angry letter to the State Department. Here's what you actually have to do. You must appear in person at a US embassy or consulate in a foreign country. You'll sign an official oath of renunciation, acknowledging that you fully, completely understand the consequences of what you're doing. There's also a hefty fee, and we're talking over $2,000 as of 2025. And here's the kicker, perhaps most importantly, it's permanent. There's no takebacks on this one. Once you renounce, here's what happens. You lose your passport. You lose your right to vote. You lose access to federal benefits like Social Security. And if you ever want to return to the US in the future, you'll need a visa just like any other foreign national. You're starting from scratch. So who actually does this? Well, thousands of Americans living overseas choose to renounce their citizenship every single year. Some do it for tax reasons, especially because the US is one of the very few countries on the planet that taxes based on citizenship, not just residency. Others renounce for political reasons, personal reasons, lifestyle reasons, often because they've fully committed to life in another country and they're never coming back. But once it's done, there is no going back, ever. Now let's get to the part that absolutely shocks most people. What about those who never wanted to give up their citizenship? Can the US government forcibly strip it away from you? The answer? Yes, absolutely yes. And it's called denaturalization. While this is rare compared to voluntary renunciation, it's happening way more often than you think. Each year, dozens, sometimes hundreds of cases are opened by the Department of Justice. Denaturalization occurs when the government determines that someone never should have been granted US citizenship in the first place. Let that sink in. The most common reason? Fraud or misrepresentation during the naturalization process. This could mean failing to disclose a criminal history, using a false identity, hiding military or political affiliations, concealing involvement in human rights abuses. And here's what'll really blow your mind. There's no statute of limitations on this. Zero. It doesn't matter if you became a citizen 5 years ago or 25 years ago. If the government uncovers fraud later, even decades later, they can move to revoke your citizenship. Let me give you some real-world cases that prove this isn't just theoretical legal talk. This is actually happening. Example 1. A Bosnian man living quietly in the US had his citizenship completely stripped after it was revealed he participated in war crimes during the Yugoslav Civil War, something he intentionally, deliberately failed to disclose during his immigration process. Citizenship revoked. Example 2. A former Nazi concentration camp guard who had lived in the US for decades lost his citizenship and was deported after his past was finally uncovered. These aren't isolated incidents, people. They're part of a legal trend that stretches back decades, and fraud isn't even the only trigger. Here's another pathway to denaturalization that most people have never heard of: associations with organizations hostile to the United States. If within 5 years of becoming a citizen you join a group that advocates for the violent overthrow of the US government, or you serve in a foreign military that's hostile to the United States, or you take a significant position in a foreign government without U.S. approval, these actions can prompt the government to re-examine your entire naturalization file with a microscope. Even if you never engaged in violence yourself, your association alone can raise massive red flags and trigger the legal argument that your original application for citizenship was made under false pretenses. Now let's talk about dual citizenship, something millions of Americans actually have. Is it allowed? Short answer, yes. In many cases, you can hold 2 passports, maybe one from the US and one from Canada or the UK, without automatically putting your citizenship at risk. But there's a massive caveat here: intent. If you obtain foreign citizenship with the goal of relinquishing your US citizenship, or you swear exclusive loyalty to another nation, you could be at serious risk. For example, did you take a high-ranking role in a foreign government? Did you take an oath that explicitly rejects allegiance to the US? Did you engage in political activity that undermines U.S. sovereignty? These aren't just philosophical questions for a debate club. They're legal criteria that the government can and does use in federal court. Now let's talk about the most extreme and thankfully the rarest scenario: treason or rebellion. If you commit treason against the U.S., engage in armed rebellion, or act as an agent of an enemy government, you could face citizenship revocation on top of serious criminal charges. These cases are exceedingly rare, but the laws are absolutely on the books, and they have been used. Loss of citizenship in these cases isn't just symbolic. It's a full legal process that follows conviction in federal court, complete with appeals and intense judicial review. Here's something that most Americans have absolutely no idea about. The Department of Justice actually maintains an entire denaturalization section within its civil division. This is a real thing. They work closely with Homeland Security and ICE, using everything from biometric databases to AI algorithms to audit immigration records and identify fraud, even in cases that are decades old. If something suspicious is found, a formal case gets filed in federal court. You have the right to a lawyer, you can present evidence and fight back. But if the government proves its case, here's what happens. You lose your citizenship, you lose your passport, you lose your right to vote, and you become deportable. Not a green card holder, but a removable alien. Think about that. What about people born in the US? In almost all cases, you're protected by the 14th Amendment. Your citizenship is rock solid. However, there is one rare exception: fraudulent birth records. This includes fake hospital documentation, false claims of parentage, birth tourism scams. These are incredibly difficult to prove, but the government has challenged citizenship in very specific fraud rings involving organized immigration scams. It's rare, but it happens. So what ties all of this together? 3 words: intent, deception, fraud. The US government can't just take away your citizenship on a whim or because they feel like it. There must be clear and provable evidence that you either gave it up voluntarily or you obtained it illegally. The burden of proof is high, very high. But once the government clears that bar, the results are final and completely irreversible. So here's the bottom line, and I want you to really hear this. U.S. citizenship is one of the most powerful legal statuses in the entire world. It comes with rights, protections, and privileges that literally millions of people dream of every single day. But it also comes with responsibilities and, yes, vulnerabilities that you need to understand. If you're a citizen, whether naturalized or born here, know your rights, but also know the law inside and out. Because when it comes to citizenship, what you don't know can cost you absolutely everything. This is John from Dream Visa Updates, bringing you the global insights and deep dives into the policies that literally shape our lives. Don't forget to subscribe, smash that like button, and leave a comment below with your thoughts, your questions, or your own experiences with U.S. immigration. I read every single one. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.